This wild and shadowy jungle is a keeper of secrets. The Darien Gap is home to rare species and indigenous villagers. It also hides people smugglers and drug runners, and the discarded bodies of those they have murdered. Many who enter do not come out. But for people who dream of living in the United States, it's still a risk worth running. Throughout my career, I've reported from dangerous places, but the story of the Darien Gap has been on my mind for as long as I can remember. It's a black zone to the extreme. If something goes wrong, you're on your own. I've been prepping for this story for more than 9 months. Waterproof matches, all-purpose knife, eating tool, anti-mosquito arsenal here. I'm hoping to meet migrants who fled their homelands to attempt this journey. I'm leaving behind my partner Susie and my daughter to join them as they cross the Darien. It's a 150-kilometer jungle wilderness between Colombia and Panama that no sane person would dare enter. And yet each year, thousands of people do. Migrants and refugees from around the world, including Syria, Afghanistan, Nigeria, and Nepal, are willing to risk everything for a long-shot chance at reaching the USA. In many ways, their story is the story of my family. My father took a gamble of his own to reach the United States. In the years running up to the revolution of the late 70s, he left Iran. Unable to get a visa to the US, he bought a ticket to Canada, then faked an illness during a layover in New York. His go-for-broke stunt secured a safer life for us, free from threats and oppression.
So how many days are you gonna be off the grid and in the jungle?
It's hard to say. A lot of it just depends on the conditions and the security on the route.
Thank you. Please just drink a lot of water, even if it's humid. You need it for strength.
I'm taking my chances in the Darien Gap because I want to experience firsthand the struggle of migrants. The United Nations estimates globally more than 65 million have been uprooted due to war, poverty, and terrorism. Ordinary people thrust into a dance with death as they brave deserts and seas. And now, the jungle, where I'm going. If migration is the story of our time, the Darien Crossing is its crucible. My first stop is Bogota, the capital of Colombia. The streets are plastered with reminders of the violence that's gripped the country for more than 5 decades. Colombia is known for being the cocaine powerhouse of the world, producing the drug in greater quantities than any other country. But today, Colombia hides another secret trade: migrant trafficking.
Policía!
I meet up with a friend and colleague, Carlos Villalon, a veteran photojournalist.
We're here!
We've both been documenting migration issues for years, and we both chase stories in places most would rather avoid. Carlos is well connected in Colombia after covering the drug war for more than a decade.
Things change like this
It's fluid.
in the film.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
And I'm relying on him and his connections to get us through the journey safely.
so you understand what type of a place we're gonna go to.
Yeah, I'm getting the
It's
picture.
like, we're gonna take a look and we're gonna talk to super reliable sources. So that's why if we made the decision that it's a no-go, we're really gonna be saving our asses, really. I mean, it's not a joke. That's what I'm telling, you know?
We're gonna be smart.
Yeah.
But we've done our homework. Can we look at a map of the
There's
tentative
no
route?
maps of it.
But do you have even a Google map that we could just look at? Many of the places we'll visit aren't marked. There are no roads.
Trails aren't friends.
It's lawless and uncharted.
Yeah.
Basically, from here to Bijao is just a boat. And then we're gonna get to the Wangnam village in a boat, walk, and then boats. Probably here where
We're basing our trip on a hand-drawn map from our local contacts.
we sleep in Paya one day with the police, and then we go
To our knowledge, no film crew has ever made it through the Darien before. Carlos and I, along with our cameraman Roger Arnold, will attempt the trek alongside migrants on their way to the United States. We want to walk in the shoes of those fleeing persecution, to document a migrant journey few have heard of. Drug runners, leftist rebels, and cutthroat criminals also use the same route we'll take. It's risky,
Estas tres es solo una dosis
Para leve, sí. Para accidente leve.
para leve.
Sí, entonces ya te digo.
Then there's nature. The Darien is rife with jaguars, crocodiles, venomous spiders, and snakes.
In the Darien region, what are the most common symptoms of the bites that are treated in that region? Necrosis, neurotoxins, hemorrhaging.
And lots of sweat.
Yeah.
You start melting inside.
So it's multifaceted.
Yeah.
There are no medical facilities in the jungle, so our survival may depend on this snakebite training course and our limited supply of anti-venom, which we'll carry with us.
Most of the snakes, 99% of them, it's one shot to each butt cheek and then the IV in the arm.
The most dangerous one that is
Yeah.
a very hueso, which is like 2 meters long
Up to
or
6.
six,
Yeah.
beats you on the vein. You have 10 minutes to live. So we're not gonna use the thing on you, and we're gonna keep it for the next one that
Yeah.
gets.
At that point,
you know,
I'm dead
goodbye,
weight. So
brother.
save yourselves.
Here.
Save yourselves.
You have 10 minutes. Here's your shovel.
Si te muerde una cascabel.
No, in that case, you take the machete, just hack the limb off. Yeah.
We've prepared as much as we can, taking sat phones, trackers, and medicines, resources the migrants go without. So we travel north to the tip of Colombia, to Turbo, a hub for drug and people traffickers. Migrants fly into Latin American countries like Ecuador and Brazil, where entry visas aren't required. It's here, on the edge of Colombia, where they board boats and enter the void that is the Darien Gap. But not all the boats departing from Turbo make it. As with many refugees coming to Australia by boat, drownings here are not uncommon.
We were told that a lot of the migrants who died on the water when they were traveling in really rickety boats were buried here anonymously. If you look here, it just says N, no name. Looks like there are about a dozen or more migrants buried here in the mausoleum.
Out on the river, our journey into the Darien jungle truly begins. This remote region is largely untouched by the modern world. Smugglers have long used this route to move timber, guns, and cocaine.
We just made the turn up the Cacarica River. This is the route that a lot of the migrants take up to the Panama border. It's pretty much virgin jungle from here on out.
Our driver grapples with the foliage that's choking the river. This area is controlled by the notorious Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, known as FARC. For more than 50 years, the leftist rebel group has been fighting to overthrow the Colombian government. Both sides are now in peace talks, but the rebels can be brutal. They murdered a Swedish backpacker in this same area just a few years ago. Many migrants have also vanished on this route.
So this might be the end of the line for us for now. The water in some places is less than a foot deep, and the bottom of the boat is starting to scrape a little bit. This guy's trying not to grind the rotor blades on the motor. This looks like we might have to get out and pull pretty soon.
We arrive at a small ramshackle hamlet where we hope to gain permission to pass through FARC turf. Our safety depends on their good favor. We meet with Elber, a FARC representative.
Entonces la reunión de ahora, ¿para qué?
These men and women call the shots in this part of the Darien. They tell us that one of the few ways to earn a living out here is through drug and people trafficking. Then, they ask us to leave with them.
So Elber has just invited us to a clandestine meeting of the local FARC political committee. So I'm just gonna follow these guys and see what they have to say.
They're not comfortable with our cameras. But a few hours later, we're given permission to proceed through FARC territory in the Darien.
No, tengo todos. Sí.
But can we truly trust them? We push on, motoring further upriver, hoping to cross paths with migrants bound for the United States. The deeper into the Darien we go, the more vulnerable we become.
Amigo.
We stop at the village of Bihao. Bihao is known as a way station for migrants about to enter the most difficult part of their journey to America. Our plan is to wait here until the next group of migrants arrive. In the meantime, we immerse ourselves in local life, including the delicacies. Locals here hunt crocodiles for fresh meat and hearty stew.
Ojalá yo no salga ahí con este pelo como lo tengo.
Tengo hambre, amigos.
Mira, ve, coge el vaso, ve.
Pero él habla español.
Es verdad.
¿Él es de dónde?
Él es de Estados Unidos.
Much like the migrants who regularly pass through, these villagers also dream of a better life.
A tough day this guy.
Lléveme para Estados Unidos.
Sí, iría a Estados Unidos.
Ay, yo sí.
Es verdad.
Claro, me consigo un trabajo.
This village lacks steady electricity, schools, and clinics. People here die of treatable illnesses like malaria.
¿Cuántos años tienes?
8.
8 años. Muy bien. ¿Te gusta el fútbol? Sí.
Incoming migrants buy supplies here and pay local guides hundreds of US dollars to take them through the jungle to Panama. The guides risk prison if caught by Panama's border guards. But villagers see it as a service that brings much needed money into the community. For the migrants, it's a lifeline. Without a skilled guide in the jungle, death is one wrong turn away.
I was just looking around this room where we're boarding up, and on the window I found a message. It says 9 Somalians. There's a list of 9 names here, and it's dated March 10th, 2014. At the bottom it says Panama all. It's another piece of evidence that we're on the immigrant trail.
While we kill time waiting for the next group of migrants to show up, normal village life goes on around us.
Unbelievable. It's 9 a.m. the following morning. We're still at it. Never shut down the bloody music. Rough night.
It's been 5 days, and we're still waiting to share the stories of those seeking freedom and a better life. But are we chasing shadows?
Maggie.
Finally, my producer rings with some news, and we learn why we haven't seen any migrants. The Panama border has been shut down. The migrants' route has been blocked.
Things are so fluid right now. One thing is the migrants are going to find a way through regardless. If they're stopping them up in Capurganá near the coast, and now, in the Darien, there are going to be other routes, and it opens up another opportunity for the smugglers. So, it's like water. They're going to keep moving and finding the openings.
It's believed some 25,000 migrants crossed into Panama last year, bound for the United States. Nobody knows how many made it all the way. But in the middle of our Dateline shoot, the country's president declares migrants will now be rejected without exception, whether refugees or not. So what do you think if we continue, we get as close as we
We're
can?
going on.
Yeah.
We're going.
We just keep getting intel from the locals. Maybe they know some
We're going.
alternate
We're
routes.
going to Cacarica and we're gonna do as we plan, and then we're gonna go up there anyways.
Okay, so this guy says 3 hours.
3 hours to get there.
Restless, after a week of waiting, we hit the water in search of other villages where migrants sometimes pass through. Should add a little map from above and just show us going like this. We haven't seen anyone on the river all day. So when the driver tells us he smells migrants, I'm skeptical. But then, people.
How you doing, guys?
How are you guys? You speak English? Two weary stragglers.
Thank you. How are you? My name Joel.
We walk in the muddy water to catch up to their boat. Hungry and exhausted, they tell me their homes are in Bangladesh and Nepal.
When you leave Bangladesh?
Oh, 1 month.
1 month before.
They've come halfway around the world, and as their smiles fade, their hardships tumble out.
তো এরপরে খাওয়া দাওয়া নাই আজ গত 4 দিন থেকে শুধু নদীর পানি খাইতেছি এই আর কি তো অনেক কষ্ট আছি ভাই গত 11 দিন থেকে কোনো ঘুম নাই ভাই গত 4 দিন থেকে কোনো খাওয়া দাওয়া নাই ভাই ভাই বোন সব কিছু পালাই কষ্ট করতে
It's okay.
বাংলাদেশে
Jay.
এই কারণে এইভাবে বনবাসে চলে আসি
Now, just a little bit more. Then we rest. Sleep, shout, rest. Okay? Okay? Jaldi, chalo. Okay? Chalo. Together, we trudge 2 hours up the river shallows back to Bihao village, where we've been staying. The migrants can relax for the first time in days. They've traveled overland from Brazil, through Bolivia, Peru, and Ecuador to Colombia.
हाम्रो सामान चोरी भएको छ सम्झना
In the UN-built migrant hostel, they read messages from those who've braved the journey before them.
यो ल कि
ওই নাম জন্ম তারিখ এই সেই
And then leave their mark.
কত আছে
Confident that when the next group reads their names, they'll be safe in Panama and continuing onward to the US. People join migration trails across the globe for all kinds of reasons, mostly to escape danger and persecution. But some cross borders for purely economic reasons. We can't know for sure if these travelers are genuine refugees.
হ্যালো আসসালামু আলাইকুম আমার নাম
It's late, but 20-year-old Arafat from Bangladesh wants to tell me about his journey so far.
Okay. Thanks.
With the help of a translator via satellite phone, I learn more about why he's here, risking his life in the Darien Gap.
নোয়াখালী তো রাজনৈতিক প্রবলেমের জন্য আজ এই জায়গায় উপস্থিত বনবাসে মা বাবা ভাই বোন সবাইকে ছেড়ে এই বনবাসে এসেছি রাজনৈতিক সমস্যার জন্য তো আজও জানি না যে আমার মা বাবা কেমন আছে আমার মা বাবাও জানে না যে আমি কেমন আছি আমি কোথায় আছি এখন
Arafat, are you scared about this journey, about what lies ahead, about all the unknowns?
ভাই একটা জিনিস কি আমার একটা মনের আশা কি আল্লাহকে স্মরণ করলে সব কিছুই ইনশাল্লাহ সফল হয়
By nightfall, 9 more migrants have joined us from Cameroon, Togo, and Gambia. The group now totals 20. They're bound together by a shared hope of starting over in the United States.
This one?
The kind of life my father envisioned and got for us.
Can you hold your bowl?
In the morning, we plan to enter the Darien Gap together.
Come closer.
It's at least 2 full days' trek through the jungle to the border.
Good night. Sleep well.
No, man.
The riskiest part of one of the world's most treacherous migrant journeys lies ahead.